I'm Coy Wire, former Buffalo Bill and Atlanta Falcon, current CNN anchor and correspondent, and you're watching NFL Players Second Acts Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the NFL Players Second Acts Podcast. I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is my guy, Roman Harper. What's up? How you feeling? Are you going to bring the energy today?
Well, I feel all right because you
feel
didn't
all
even
right?
come up with a weird nickname. So that was awesome. But I will first and foremost like to thank iHeartRadio for allowing us to be in their studios today right here in Midtown Atlanta, I believe is the name of the location. Or if you want to be very fancy, the Upper West Side of Atlanta. So
That doesn't even sound right.
It doesn't even sound right, Peter.
That doesn't even sound right.
You know, we fancy today. So here we go. Tell us about our next guest.
Our next guest is a 10-year vet in the NFL for the Bills and the Falcons, and he was team captain for both of those teams. He is a CNN correspondent. He is a play-by-play caller for the Falcons, and he's an author. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pod, Coy Wire.
Yeah. Happy to be here, fellas.
Appreciate you blessing us, man.
It is my pleasure. I have to tell you, we didn't chat before this, but I've been watching you guys, the podcast, and it is so powerful. I was brought to tears at the episode with John Abraham, former teammate of mine.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone out there, if you haven't seen it, watch the episode with John Abraham. That's a guy who I did not know all he was going through, and that was my teammate.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have known I could talk to him more. As one of the team captains, that's what you take pride in doing. But for him to be so open with you all, and it's a big credit to you all for the conversation you allowed him to have and share with the world. As you mentioned, it's going to impact the lives of so many people, not just former football players, people around the world who are going through some troubles and can find a way to get through. Hearing his story, man, that was so powerful. So I commend you all for what you're doing, the work you're doing, the time you put in to help us share our stories in hopes that it can help someone else. It's good stuff.
I love that, man. I appreciate that first and foremost. I received that. We're starting off with good vibes already. But the fact is, like, when you have people like a John Abraham good up there and talk about those stories and people like him that are so talented, so good that we don't know, that are really struggling, I'm like, you become a light and you shine so bright that it allows others to be seen, that are up under you, that can't be seen or don't have the voice or the platform to talk about these things because they truly feel like nobody will hear them.
And I think it's so much more powerful when it comes from former NFL players who a lot of people will look at and think they're superhuman, they're invincible. And when they hear that even a John Abraham, a Roman Harper, a Charles Tillman goes through some things and like life is tough, even they go through it and can make it through, that maybe I can too, right?
Yeah,
it makes you feel that comfort. So,
well, first and foremost, you led Stanford in rushing one year and you led him in tackles in another year.
How do you do that? Like, were there no athletes? Or like
a lot of good athletes. I think we had like
how does
7
that work?
draft picks my senior year. Tyrone Willingham was our head coach.
Yeah.
One of the icons of my life as far as coaching and leadership. And my freshman year, led the team in rushing.
Come on.
But like six games in, I broke my thumb. I have 2 pins put in. That next year, we had 2 running backs come in, freshmen, Kerry Carter and Brian Allen. And they too would one day go on to play in the NFL. So you had 3 future NFL players of your team playing the same position. So that next year, we're each playing a third of the time. You can't have 3 of your best players like rotating in a third of the time. So that next year, Coach Willingham said, Coy, how would you like to play defense? One of you has to do it. We think you can do it. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Like, did I want to? No. Like, was my dream to be a running back in the NFL? Yes. But that yes, coach mentality just opened so many doors for me. I went in and just, went all out. Being a running back helped me I was a linebacker, at this size, but I thought like a running back. So that helped me a lot. Saw the holes. I spent my last two years as a linebacker there, got drafted as a safety to Buffalo. Never played safety before, never had to backpedal in my life. And there I was trying to have to cover Jerry Rice and Randy Moss as a rookie. As a young, dumb rookie, right? So, but it was just that, they drafted me, you want to play defensive back? Yes, coach. And so I just kind of ride the wave.
Had you ever played defense before, or was it always just offense, like growing up? I was always running back. In high school, I did play defense, but it was never a focus of mine. I was like an edge guy. I literally was just an edge guy, but I would carry the ball like 30, 40 times a game. But to me, though, you're that much better than everybody else because you took you went and got drafted and played a position that you really didn't know how to play, and you made it work, and you played 10 years. Like that's extremely impressive.
Yep. I'll use a quote that I'll never forget when I was at Stanford, and Dusty Baker, the legendary baseball manager and player, Tyrone Willingham, our coach, brought him in to speak to us one day out there in the Bay Area team meeting. And he says, "Men, we've accomplished nothing in and of ourselves. If we think we have, we are foolish. We're nothing more than a conduit of knowledge and information." And I'll never forget that because, every point in my life, I've always had people help me achieve things that I could have never done on my own. So when I got drafted to the NFL to play defensive back, again, never had to backpedal in a game in my life. I had Coach Steve Jackson was my defensive backs coach, and he's now with the Tennessee Titans, still coaching. I think he should be a coordinator someday. He's an incredible genius. He was a hell of a player, played 9 years in the league as a small defensive back. Tough as nails. He would spend so much time. Coaches spend a lot of time already. He would spend extra, like late into the night, early before everyone got there, watching film with me, getting me caught up to speed of how to be a defensive back in the NFL. I had London Fletcher, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And when that first game, so my fifth year in, I had to switch back to linebacker because we had some injuries. Like, Coy, if something happens to Angelo Crowell, man, you're gonna have to go in. This is a Thursday. Go in the linebacker meeting room. And so there we were playing the Chargers. Sure enough, first series, Crow, I think, had like a fracture in his leg that they didn't even really know. So they're like, "Wire, you're in." I go in the game now at linebacker for the first time in the NFL. And London Fletcher's beside me. And before every play, he's like, Coy, come this way. It's going to be power O this way. Sure enough, power O this way. Boom. And there I am tackling future Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson. And then London Fletcher, and Takeo Spikes, and having those guys beside me, and Troy Vincent's behind me in the defensive backfield. I had Laura Malloy that I played there safety with for a while, like Pearson Prelude, Izell Reese. These guys helped me more than they ever know. I was just watching and listening and observing some of these incredible players. And so I can't really take credit because without them, I would have never done it. And their willingness to help, I would have never been able to do what I did.
What was your first welcome to the NFL moment?
Well, the first welcome to the NFL moment was when I'd never seen an NFL game in person. And so there I was with the Buffalo Bills and running through that tunnel on game day. And man, tears were just flowing down. I'm like, how am I going to play this game right now? I'm crying like a baby right now.
Crying.
So that was one of them. Another one there in Buffalo when, we're in a huddle. It's a big third down, and big defensive tackle, Pat Williams.
Yeah, big guy.
Yeah, awesome veteran. And I'm in the huddle. I'm like, come on, boys, it's third down. Let's go do this. He's like, man, shut the hell up. And I'm like, okay, I was just a rookie. Right? I was just a rookie. But that kind of put me in my place a little bit. But
you were too excited.
I was a little too excited.
Jacked.
Yeah. So but then on the field, welcome to the NFL moment. We're playing against the Vikings my rookie year, and Randy Moss was a receiver. I'm playing deep half safety. And he starts running down the sideline, go route, staring me in the eye, puts his hand up like
hot
this,
hand.
Staring me in the eye. I was like, here comes the ball. Stirring up, the ball's coming. I just come over and blast him. Ball wasn't even close yet. I'm like, you're not catching this ball on me. But I just remember seeing that eye contact and him just striding out, putting his hand up. I was like, yeah, I'm with the big boys now.
It's so funny how those moments you remember exactly. Like the little small details. Yeah. You're like, this guy literally looked at me, made eye contact.
Yeah, I'm like,
and then threw his hand up, throw it.
Yeah. I'm with the big boys now. Yeah,
we used to call that the hot hand. Oh, that's funny. The hot hand. He was good with that. Where did your journey start? Where did the journalists come from? Where did you want to, or why did you want to get into the media space? Where did that come from?
I didn't know I wanted to. When I first was done playing, you have to be so locked in to be an NFL player. At least I did. I couldn't have, they always did a good job of do some internships, think about life after football. I couldn't, because if I did, I would lose my edge, right? I was never the biggest, fastest, strongest. I had to be all in. And so when football was taken away from me, I was hurting. I lost who I was. I was an empty shell of myself because my entire life, that's what I was. That's who I was. And when I didn't have that to wake up to in the morning, it hurt. I remember in the middle of the nights, I would wake up, my heart's racing, my arms are numb. And I'm like, am I having like a heart issue, a stroke? What's happening to me? My wife's psychology major, thank goodness, she said, I think you're having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I'm like, me? What? No. Like, I looked at all the symptoms, like, yeah, I'm having anxiety attacks and panic attacks. Like, this up here was affecting all of this. It's like, but I know I have a degree from Stanford. I could go back to school. I could be a lawyer. I could go do whatever. There's so many things I could do, but it's like no one ever asks you when you're growing up, what's the second thing you want to be when you grow up? Like, we get to live our dream.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Great.
And so it wasn't until I said, you know what? I just need something to do each and every day, something that is my new mission, right? And so I knew I always wanted to like write a book to like share some of the tips and tricks that helped me overachieve in my life that maybe kids could take something from. And so I started doing that. As soon as I started doing that and have that new passion, that new mission, I started to feel so much better. And it was very cathartic to be able to do that. And with the media, you know, as an NFL player rep, I was often talking to the media. And at some point, about a year after I went through all that struggle and that adversity mentally, emotionally, a friend of mine said, hey, you were always good talking to the media. Maybe you should be the media. You know, I can connect you with somebody to maybe give you an opportunity. And then Pac-12 Networks gave me a shot. They let me call 4 games. Like, you've never done this before. We'll let you call 4 games. After that, they're like, well, that was pretty good. You want to sit in a studio show the rest of the time? And that's how it all happened. I mean, it was really like, I didn't know, once I got into it, and then that, like I said, that became my new game, then I really started to be passionate about it and sharing stories and telling stories.
I commend you for the game calling. I called one game like a couple weeks ago.
He called me and was like, bro, it was like,
I was like, yeah, I'm not.
I don't think that's my thing.
It's not my thing. Like, it's tough.
3.5 hours of breaking news. You don't know what the story is going to be, who's the story is going to be.
And you talk for about 10 or 15 seconds and you stop. And then it's...
It's a dance that you don't realize. They make it
dance.
I always say in the media, it's not easy to make it look easy. And like the play-by-play and the analysts in an NFL game, they're like the epitome of that, where like that 10 to 15
need chemistry though.
Yeah.
You gotta have chemistry.
You gotta have chemistry. You have to study your stuff, know your stuff.
And you might have to be ready to like pivot and not use any of it, because you can come in with this narrative of what this game's going to be, and the game rolls out completely different. And so everything you thought was going to happen, none of it happens. You got to be ready for that too. And so that's what live football is when you're calling the game.
I'm a studio man.
You know, it's one of my favorite things to do is call the Falcons preseason games. It's a blessing to have that opportunity. I've been doing it for about 6 years now. And in the preseason, it's so much tougher because the rosters are 90,
so much better.
You know? And so my spotting board, as they're called, we have our little boxes with the player's name, number, where they went to school, maybe some stats about them. It's like this big. At the end, though, I always say, you know, like, I'm going to do all the work and prepare and be kind of ready. But like you said, you never know what the day is going to be like. So when it's game day, I just say, you know what? I'm just going to sit and watch as a fan and like see what's happening and share that story in the moment, whatever it may be. And that always helps me. I just pretend like I'm talking ball with some friends, like what I'm seeing and what I think's happening. So, but yeah, it's a beast. It is not easy to make it look easy.
No, it was probably my first. And that was my first time ever doing it like live. Like, I never practiced. They were just like, hey, we want you to call this Bears Jaguars game live. Go. I was like, okay. Yes, coach.
Yes, coach.
Yes, coach. And probably my first and last. Like, I'm a studio man all day. That's it. That's all
so you mentioned about the panic attacks and all those other things. What advice would you give to somebody that's maybe going through something where they don't know they had anxiety for the first time? They've been really good at all these things in life, and all of a sudden they hit a wall and they're no longer being able to do those same things, and they don't know what that feeling is. What would you give them advice to maybe help them get through that or see through it the way you did? Maybe not in the same fashion.
Yeah.
But what was your advice?
The first thing is acceptance. Like, be honest with yourself. Just like, even though you thought you were invincible and nothing like that would ever happen to you, just like, no, this is the reality of my situation right now. I'm hurting mentally, emotionally. That's one. The second thing is don't be scared to share that, right? Whether it's with your spouse, your significant other, your parents, friends, be vulnerable. Like it's okay to not be okay. And you'd be shocked at like the amount of people, someone might say one thing that helps you put things into perspective. And they'll also help remind you that maybe it's not as bad as you think it is. And because sometimes up here, we are affected by what we think others are thinking. And so, yeah, so those are my two things, just acceptance and then be vulnerable and share, because our human spirit, like I think human nature is to help others, is to want to be there for people. And your pain and your struggles might be exactly what someone else needs. They need someone to help, and you're going to impact their life in a positive way. You think you're going to be a burden, but you're not. So I think as football players, mentally, physically tough, that's the way we're born, bred, raised, trained, right? Invincible, cutthroat mentality, invincible. So it's understanding that former NFL players would feel that way, but once the game is over, I think you do away with that life. And now you just realize I am human, because I think we fool ourselves to think we are invincible. We get that Superman complex. And but we're not.
But that's the cliche part about it, though, is like you're the tough guy. And then all of a sudden you have to be reminded, or you have to make that switch. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, I think that's probably the hard part, is just trying to make that switch to say, all right, well, maybe I can be vulnerable. Maybe I can share this with someone, or say that I'm not okay today. Mentally, I'm in a bad place. I feel depressed, or I'm whatever. But I think it's allowing that person to make that shift. And we said it yesterday. We're talking to a couple other people. It's like, we got to give ourselves grace. Mm-hmm. We definitely got to give ourselves grace. And that's something that I think we as football players, we don't do once we retire. We still want to have that mentality. And when you're going through it, you don't realize you're going through it, because it's probably something, it's a new experience, it's a new emotion, it's a new feeling that you haven't quite felt, and you don't know how to navigate through these waters.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think, my wife taught me really how to open up, because early in our relationship, and even sometimes to this day, like I try not to burden her with my burdens. Like I feel like misery doesn't love, company, right? Like
they say it does.
Your company doesn't love your misery, right? So
that's better.
Yeah, so that's the way I always felt. And so like, I do want her to think I'm strong and that, and I'm tough. And she said, Coy, you need to stop doing that. Like, I'm your teammate. Like, I'm here to help you. I don't think less of you if you're feeling down, or you're feeling low, or you can't figure something out, or this, that, the other thing. So that's where it all started for me. I was fortunate my wife, Claire, has really helped me be that way. And then you just realize like that is normal to be that way. Mm-hmm. And it was abnormal the way we were trained.
Absolutely. Right?
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was one of my workout partners. He has really helped me put it into words. He was like, when you're the former football player, the way you've lived your life, the way your mindset has been, at some point you got to learn to be comfortable with being the warrior in the garden. Like, you don't need to wear your armor anymore. You can be like, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. And it's really uncomfortable at first, but learning how to be cool with being the warrior in the garden, and understand like it's still in you. The warrior mentality is in you, but you're just in the garden. Yeah. You just got to be cool with that. I'm like that. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Just like, okay, woosah, and just move on. So how did you get to CNN? Like, very non-traditional sports path. It's not a lot of former athletes that get to work for the news side of the television side. So
I spent a year at Pac-12 Networks. Then I did 3 years at FS1 with Fox Sports. And at times when CNN would have a big news story, it's like, dealing with concussions. This is back like 2010, 2011. They would call me as a former NFL player to get my thoughts on what's happening. And so I was a guest. And so they were kind of aware of me. And then I remember I was at a Super Bowl one year, and the head of CNN Sports at the time came up and said, we've been watching you. We've been putting together a sizzle reel. I sent it up to New York. How do you feel about covering all sports? And I said, yes, coach. Yes, coach. you'd be able to stay here in Atlanta, CNN headquarters. I was flying every week to the West Coast. So, we didn't have children yet, but I was missing my wife and, a little more quality time and all that. And just that opportunity, didn't really know what I was getting into, but I did like the prospects of it. And thank goodness I did, because here I am now in my 9th year at CNN. And it's just been incredible. It's my new game. TV is a lot like football. I mean, I have my locker room. I have my writers, my editors, my producers. I have my position coaches, my head coaches. And when I'm on that TV, just like on an NFL game day, if I didn't get my stuff together, if I wasn't prepared, if I missed a tackle, it's not just on me, because now I'm putting that guy behind me in a compromising position and he might miss a tackle. His job's now on the line. I like that pressure to perform. I think NFL players, we all like that pressure to perform and that accountability. And it's not just me, but this team and our mission is dependent on me being the best I can be. And so that's how I approach every hit, every show, study my butt off and be ready to tackle it full throttle, knowing that I got people dependent on me. I want to be the best teammate I can be. So yeah, CNN is it's been awesome for me, and we'll see how much longer I can keep this thing rolling.
What are the expectations? Because you work for a news company in CNN, but the expectations of covering sports, which is what you do a lot of times. Like, what are the expectations of it? How is it different? Kind of break it all down for me, because it's very like, okay, this is what it was, and then you guys move on. It's more treetop level sometimes.
Yeah, so being a news anchor, news correspondent, or a reporter, it's so much different than what we're so accustomed to in today's world with sports media, where it's a lot of opinion and analysis. Right. I mean, I really can't do that. I really just tell you the what and let you decide what to think. Like, okay. I can't give my opinion or, the mindset's different. It's totally different. And it was really tough for me at first, because I started at Pac-12 Networks and FS1 as an analyst, where I can like really bring the heat like we see, like you do, right, on at SEC. So that was tough for me. But at the same time, I like it because I don't have to be critical of someone.
I don't have to be hot button, hot topic guy.
So that's my thing. I study my butt off to know the facts of what happened, when it happened, how it happened. I tell you what, letting viewers decide what to think. That's just my job. So I appreciate that aspect of it. And the most fun I have is getting out in the field when I get to be around these events and share that story and take the viewers there. But yeah, it's good. I get to do a wide range of things. I'll anchor on CNN International, a show called World Sport. It's a 30-minute show every day, and having to learn about cricket and F1 and European soccer and all that, the real football, as they say. And
cricket is crazy too.
Cricket's crazy.
I still don't quite understand all the rules too.
I don't either.
Crickets and wickets.
It can go forever.
Yes, it goes for
days. The game can go for days. So yeah, I mean, I get to do that. Obviously, I said, the correspondent type work. And then one of my most favorite things to do is CNN 10. It's a 10-minute online news show, and it's geared towards the next generation. It's in schools all across the world. We get about 3 million viewers per episode. And I love that because I rarely talk sports or covering the news of the day, but I know the impact I'm able to have on that next generation. And it's powerful stuff. So I felt like that was my next step at CNN, something that I could do break outside of sports. And I've been doing that for 2 years now. And that's become, my passion.
So do you remember Channel 1?
Channel 1, yes.
So you had Chris Cooper, Anderson Cooper,
yep.
Chris Jackson, yep. Lisa Ling. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of something similar to that. I used to watch it in like junior high, and it was a 10, 15-minute news about current events.
Yep.
And
that's what it is.
It kind of seems like it's something similar
it's exactly like that.
Like a newer generation of it.
Yep. It's exactly like that. Quick 10-minute shows. Teachers, we release each episode the night before so teachers can get eyes on the topics, and so they'll create lesson plans around it. They'll quiz the students on the content that they saw. And the biggest thing I learned about that being a journalist in the news was like the power of words, even a single word. So I'll give you an example. Like we were doing a story about the border wall, right? And President Joe Biden said this, and someone wrote a story that day. We have writers who can write the stories for us. And the writer put, Joe Biden said this about the border wall. Even former President Trump said that. And it was that one word, even, that implied that you were almost surprised that even Donald Trump would say that, but you don't do that. Like, that's showing bias. And so it was just simply President Joe Biden said this, former President Donald Trump said this. But do you see how that one word is like, even he said it, you know? And I don't want to be that. Like, I can't be that for these kids or for those teachers who are trusting me to be the giver of this information and this news to their students. And so, like, I really take pride in that. That's where I kind of came up with that word. I tell you the what, letting you decide what to think. So that I learned about the power of words, and the even just a single word can have and make a huge difference on how the information is received or how you're sharing a story.
Peanut, what do I say all the time?
Words matter.
All the time.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing for me. My wife hates it, but because I'm like,
I say it, I stole it. Hey, words matter.
They do.
Words truly
Words
matter. And it's a difference between you are and you're acting like.
That's correct. And even to ourselves, especially, right? Like those words, like we were at work today in between the show. One of my producers, we have a Papa Shot. He's like, I'm going to break the record today. But he goes to start the game. He says, oh man, my arm's tired. I'm like, you're done. Like, you careful what you say, because you're going to believe it. You already said you're done, so you're not giving yourself the best opportunity. I learned from one of my heroes growing up in the football world was Walter Payton.
Yeah.
And I read books about him, Never Die Easy, one of his books. He talked about how he, when he would get an ankle injury, this is a guy who spent, 16 years in the NFL, I think, and only missed one game. And that was because his coaches wouldn't let him as a running back, and not a big running back, but he was tough as nails. And when he would get an ankle injury, he would lie in bed and tell himself, I'm getting better. I feel good. I feel great. My ankle is fine. My ankle is fine. He would picture tiny men going and working and repairing his ankle. I'm good. I feel great. That power of the mind, he believed that it affected his body, and the proof is in the pudding, right? With that. So I think, words matter for sure. And if you look at the greats of the greats, they are very aware of the thoughts that can affect the things.
Yeah, I'm trying to be better about that in golf, because a lot of negative things come out of my mouth about my own self at golf.
Is there someone that you want to interview that you haven't interviewed yet, athlete wise, or just a person in general?
Yeah.
Well, it used to be The Rock. It used to be The Rock, but I did get to interview The Rock.
I saw you took a picture with him, and you guys are kind of doing the eyebrow thing. I can't do
the
people's eyebrow. People's eyebrow.
The pebble. Yeah, and we had a fun interview. No, man, because I get just as excited from interviewing an athlete like an Alana Meyer that you maybe never heard of as I do a superstar. I don't have anybody that I actively seek. I just seek those stories that I think people need to hear, and that's what I love sharing.
Tell me this then. Is there one unique story that's like, man, this story like shook me or shocked me when I actually covered it?
Well, I get emotional a lot. Like when I interview people, I learned, read a long time ago, one thing, if you can get someone to cry during an interview, that's powerful stuff, because they're really opening up. And there's this one interview a few years ago. It was a guy, I just was taken back by his selflessness, former NFL player. And he was doing this rowing across Lake Michigan to raise awareness and funds for children's pediatric cancer initiatives. And his name was Charles Tillman. And here we were a few years ago, 65 miles, more than 24 hours across Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
What kept you going?
The people, the fans, the people, the heroes that we honored on the front of our boat. The purpose of why I was doing it, pediatric cancer research. And it was a great cause, man. And the people that rallied and came to our support it was truly phenomenal.
What was it like when you saw Tiana and the rest of your family and former teammates there supporting you at the finish?
I got emotional. I started to cry.
Tell me why. What hit you?
The support hit me, 1. 2, I was extremely tired. And 3, the people that were on the front of the boat, some of them had passed away. And to know their struggle of what they dealt with and what they had to deal with and go through day in and day out. And it hit me. And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, that emotion is powerful. A wise man once said, nothing great happens without inspiration.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Them, my daughter, she's my inspiration. For me to go through 25 hours and run a boat, to me that's nothing compared to what these kids have to go through.
Take us back to when that the heart failure, the heart transplant was affecting your family, your 6-month-old daughter there in the hospital. What was that like?
I was just like, oh wow, she could die. What in the world? And fast forward to her getting a heart for three months later. It's the best day of your life, but it's the worst day of your life because you're happy your daughter is living, receiving a heart, but somewhere else in the country that someone else's child died, and my daughter to be the recipient of a heart. It just goes to show the true spirit of humanity and caring and loving and giving.
Man, it's just your heart got me that day. Like that you did that.
Yeah.
And for whom you did it. You talked about all the names of the people on that boat that you were rowing for, how afterwards you cried.
Yeah.
That's what you told me that day.
Yeah.
And I think this is the type of thing that people need to see more of from professional athletes, former football players. Like they don't understand we're more than just football players.
Yeah.
So those are the type of stories I like to share.
Well,
that one got me. That one got me.
Look at that, dude.
That one got me.
And you're still doing it today.
Yeah.
You're still doing it today.
Yeah, that one got me.
Yep.
Damn you, Thomas. Damn you, Thomas. Yeah, that one got me.
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
You're a good man. And, those are the type of things that I think people need to realize more. It's so easy to hate on pro athletes and think they are invincible, but like we're such good people and that it's way more than not. But in the media, often we see the not. And so I feel it's a blessing to be able to share stories like Charles and other athletes out there who are so much more than just athletes.
So I just love the fact that, I learned this years ago from a pastor friend of mine, was that once you become affected by something, you'll become an advocate for it forever. And so Peanut and his family were affected by something very, very unique. And it's really, really cool to see like the journey that has started and the things that Peanut and his foundation and other things have been able to do because of one situation. And he didn't let it tear him down or his daughter tear her down. And it's really cool. And it can get us all choked up over this. And it's just a passion. And it's like the power that we have to do when we decide to do something. So thank you, guys.
Sorry to surprise you like that, man. But when I knew I was coming here with you and I wanted to share that story again because it deserved to be told. So shout out to the team for keeping it a secret.
I receive it. Yeah. That was a good time. But like you said, man, you go through something and, for her to have a heart transplant and that whole thing, and you see like, dang, I was affected. Our family was affected. Our family and friends were affected by it. And, trying to take a negative and turn it into something positive and just bless other people, because we were blessed with her receiving a heart transplant. So I wanted to take that blessing and bless other people and just keep it going and paying it forward.
That's
right.
I
can't pay it back. So I just want to pay it forward.
Because our tough times can make us tougher.
Absolutely.
We can find strength through our struggles, right?
Absolutely. And it
strongest steel's burned in the hottest coals, man.
Yes, sir.
So like
it's
all how we're all going to go through it in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
It's how you let it affect you moving forward. And you're doing the best of the best with it, man. Yeah.
I want to know what it was like, though, to cover the Olympics in Paris. The Olympics are such a huge event, especially the Summer Olympics, and what it means to so many different countries, all the different countries there. Like, what was that experience like to just be around all of the Olympics and what the events are?
It's my most favorite event to cover because it is the best of sports on full display. And what I feel the best of sports is, especially in today's world, is bringing people from all different socioeconomic, racial, gender backgrounds, all these differences. It doesn't matter who you are, what country you came from. You're all coming together for this common love of sport, and you're embracing and you're hugging and you're high-fiving. And football's a lot like that, as we know, right? Those locker rooms, we bring together so many different types of people, and we respect one another. Olympics is that full throttle, right?
Yeah.
And so that is the first thing that I really appreciate about it. The second thing is the athletes that you interview, they don't get microphones in their face, open lockers every day.
They're not, the Olympic sports are completely different.
Yes, so they're not jaded. I mean, we understand it can be tough sometimes to talk to media, right? Every day. They get their one moment, maybe once in their lifetime, maybe once every 4 years. And so they are so open and eager to share their story. And that's what you love as a journalist, right? You want someone, you want to be that conduit for those good stories. And so I just love how humble and passionate they are for that one big moment. And I get to share that story. So it's such a blessing. On the work side of it, it's a grind. I mean, it's,
For sure.
3.5 weeks straight, if not a full month of maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep every day, because it's around the clock. You're either going to an event, you're either going to an interview, you're either on air, a live window. And so I usually get sick at the end of every Olympics. My body gets run down and says, screw you, you're done. Like, you shut it down for a bit. But man, I just love it. It is like a Super Bowl for me now, right? I never got to play in a Super Bowl like you guys did, but I love it. I get so pumped up, and this was my 5th Olympics. Next one's in Italy.
Yeah.
I hope I'll be there for that, the mountaintops for the next Winter Games. And then I'm planning for the 2028 Olympics to see the 3 of us on a flag football team.
I would so do it. I would so do it in a heartbeat.
We'll coach. Maybe we'll coach.
There we go.
There we go.
I'm not like, no,
Get us
I'm not
another.
happening. I played in flag football tournaments with some of these like good teams.
Seriously?
These dudes are dead ass serious, and I'm not that serious.
Yeah.
And so to them, when every game is a Super Bowl, and to me, I'm like, bro, I'm just out here. Just
They
like,
run circles around us.
yeah. Well, they're not. No. They
No,
just
I
will
said no.
execute everything so much better. Like, we don't know all the rules. Like, they're doing this throw to this play, to all these, and like, you just got to be really, really dialed in, and you can't
You're
just
not that
like,
dialed in. You just like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm
I'm
not
not
here
here
for
for
all
that.
that. I've been to the mountaintop. I'm good, y'all.
I'm totally
Yes,
fine. I don't
yes.
need all that.
So you're in Paris, and you see Flava Flav.
Yeah, boy.
Flava Flav.
Yeah, boy.
And he was like shell shocked to see you.
Man, that's cool.
Like how dope was that?
It was incredible because, that's someone I grew up listening to, and to have him recognize me, I was kind of shocked at first. So I pinch myself all the time. We're blessed to be able to do some of the things we do, meet the people we meet, right? And so for me, I was just there to help share his story and the impact he was having on the women's sports teams in Paris at the Olympics, the water polo team. And for him to then give me that love and that energy, he made a little rap about me, just like freestyle off the top of that. I was just like, my mind was blown. I was like, man,
that's dope.
I can't even believe this is happening right now. But yeah, it's a blessing to have those opportunities. I do not take them for granted.
Right.
I mean, I see TV very similar to the NFL, not for long, right? You gotta really bring it every day, be passionate about what you do and take advantage of those moments. And when you have that mindset, it really helps make the most of those moments you do get. So we did a great story with Flava Flav there, and really cool.
I want to talk about Mount Rushmore. 4 people, 4 icons for you, 4 icons of what helped you get to where you are right now in life. If you could put 4 people on Mount Rushmore, who would those 4 people be?
So definitely my mom, just symbolizes love for me. I mean, she cut a seatbelt out of the back of one of our cars when I was growing up so she could create a shoulder harness, because we read about how if you could like put a tire to a chain on a harness and run, it would help you. She did that. Like my dad, work ethic. Working 3 jobs. I mean, I remember like going in his room at night, hearing like, I thought it was like screeching, and he's on the floor, full body cramp, because he was like doing UPS overnights and working at a grocery store, and like, so he's doing 3 jobs, and like, so that's where I got my work ethic. I'll put my brother and sister there as one person, just because, just like ultimate support, cheerleaders of my life, sacrificing things they want to do when they're like taking me off to wrestling tournaments and this and that, and they're sitting up there in the bleachers like all bored, but they sacrifice some of their fun and childhood for me to achieve my dream. And finally, I talked about my wife already, Claire. I mean, just my rock, or she sacrificed her passion, her career to like raise me and my girls, our daughters. And so just that ultimate sacrifice and love. I mean, that's my Mount Rushmore, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Hey, Coy, you're off the hot seat, baby. We appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Oh, I loved being here, and I loved, it's an honor and privilege. You guys keep doing it, man, because you're impacting lives.
No, man, I appreciate you, number one, for coming here. Number two, man, for listening. To hear from other former players talk about the mission and the journey that we're on. We didn't know it was going to be like this. We're just riding along with it too, right? And
Yeah.
so the fact that you get to hear other people's stories and you're like, dude, like that's my teammates, and like being able to talk about that and then probably share it with other former teammates, like that is what this thing is all about. And being able to share like other people's second acts and really understand, like, guys, it's the locker room has just changed a little bit, but we're all still rooting for each other. We're all still finding ways to keep up with each other, and we're really just one big fraternity that just keeps pouring into each other. So,
amen.
Thank you, brother, because we're all rooting for you, because we all see you.
Appreciate
and so
you, man.
We all are rooting for you as well, man. So just know that too.
It's been a blessing to be here, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. For all of our viewers and listeners out there, appreciate that. Everything that you always do, man. Give us a 5-star rating. Give us a review. Leave a comment. What else we need to do? Subscribe.
Sure.
And also check out our the NFL YouTube.
Why?
channel.
You don't have to yell.
I got excited because I got it right.
It's okay.
I got it right.
Hey, I'm your teammate. I got you. I got you.
But you forgot what you always say. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
That's what I'm talking about. Tell a friend to do what, Coy?
To tell a friend.
There we go. All right, Peter, get us out of here.
Hey, this might have been the best one yet. He telling friends. Rome's remembering the NFL YouTube channel. Hey, man, I'm Peanut. That's Coy. That's Rome. And this is the NFL Players Second Acts Podcast. We appreciate y'all. We out.